Hello everyone and welcome back to Winter Data Meetup. My name is Alex and I will be host for this session. I hope you're finding our sessions insightful and inspiring so far. Meet Manju, a senior manager from data, ready to show how AI is changing data engineering. Learn the key principles, best practices, and future trends for building strong data foundations for AI and LLMs. Don't miss this session to stay ahead in the fast-moving world of AI-driven data. But before we jump into our session, I'd like to take a moment to ask for your support in growing our community and recognizing our incredible speakers. If you enjoyed today's discussion and want to stay updated on upcoming events and talks, please take a second and hit the like and subscribe buttons. Your participation helps us to reach a wider audience, allowing more people to learn from these insightful discussions about data and AI. Also, in the video description below, you will find a link to the talk page where you can share your feedback, award Manju a badge, and rate his session. Your input is incredibly valuable. It helps us to improve future events and ensures our speakers get the recognition. Additionally, we'd like to hear from you during this session. If you have any questions or insights or comments, feel free to drop them into the chat. We'll gather your questions for Q&A session at the end of our discuss with the speaker. Your contribution makes the discussion even richer, so don't hesitate to participate. And now, let's welcome our speaker to share his valuable insights with us. Manju, floor is yours.
Thanks everyone for joining the call today. I'll just quickly introduce myself. I'm a senior delivery manager with IPAM. I take care of the data software engineering discipline here in India. I have over 24 years of industry experience, primarily focusing on driving digital transformation and data analytics solution implementation for large enterprise customer. So I'm really passionate about data and AI. And today's talk is a little bit vast topic which focuses on how we can make the enterprises ready for AI. This is a very complex topic, and I'm trying to keep it very simple so that we'll introduce you to this particular topic and we can build on the top of it. Let's look at what we are going to cover today. In the next 30 minutes, I'll focus on three broad topics. First, I start with the current state of data platforms. What are the challenges, and how can we make enterprises ready by transforming this particular data platform? And at the last, we'll also look at how can we make the teams ready to build these platforms and use this particular platform. Let's start with the quick introduction to the current data platform. We'll also have a quick recap of some of the recent trends in the AI and Gen AI, which are transforming the analytics landscape. It all started with the ChatGPT in 2022, which has kind of disrupted the complete AI landscape. Till then, most of the solutions were around building the data platforms and doing incremental changes and helping the business use the data. But with the chat GPT, and we have seen that it has kind of brought in a lot of new use cases which we can use and help the business to automate, kind of improve the efficiency. And we see that there's a lot of users who are using it and the adoption is increasing. And recently in 2025, we had DeepSeek, which has taken the world by storm. The the reason was that mainly it was supposed to reduce the cost and do the same task other LLMs were doing at a much cheaper price. And again, all the enterprises started jumping in, started using that, and the adoption is increasing. The recent trend on the agentic AI, it is promising to improve the automation. The new completely changed the way we do the automation, how we can kind of improve the efficiency of the business. With all these changes, we are seeing that there is an increased investment in the AI, right? And the AI is here to stay. If anybody is thinking that AI is a hype and we don't no longer have to learn AI, I think we are fooled by the AI, right? So it's here to stay, and we need to embrace this particular technology. And at the same time, if you have to make the companies use these particular technologies, we have to make them ready for the AI. So this can be done by transforming the existing data platforms, right? How do we do it? We'll deep dive into the subsequent sessions. Before that, let's look at how does the current data platforms look like. This is a high level understanding or a high level architecture of typical data analytics platform. You have data from different sources, and then you ingest the data, and then process the data and transform and provide to the end users in a consumable format. Now, these formats typically in the form of dashboards or visualizations or files, or let's say some in case of some of the data as a APIs or as a product. End of day, we are processing the data and giving it to the end users. There are different ways we are building this platform. Historically, we've started with the Hadoop based ecosystem. We build a data platform using the open source tools, and recently we see a lot of data platforms built using, let's say, some of the cloud native services like using AWS, Azure, or GCP. And there are also platforms which are using modern data platforms like Databricks and Snowflake. So whatever the project we are working on, most of the project fall into this particular category at a high level architecture, right? Now, let's look at some of the initiatives taken to build these platforms. These platforms are built by running some of the projects and programs. Um, so this is a typical list of projects or the initiatives taken by a lot of enterprises. We start with a data warehouse. There's a lot of projects focusing on building a data warehouse for helping business by building a complex report, by doing a complex processing on the data that's available. And there are projects which makes use of the big data technologies, let's say open source technologies like Hadoop and Apache related tools, and you're building all kind of bringing it all tools together and building a platform, right? The custom platform. Then there are projects where customers are migrating from on-premise to cloud, to primarily focusing on using the scalability features and also the cost effectiveness of the cloud platforms. Then there are projects which are focused on using modern data platforms like Databricks and Snowflake, which provides a unified view and it's easy to deploy, right? A lot of customers are embracing the modern data platform because it's very easy to deploy and faster to make it ready for business usage. So while we are working on these various projects, right, we also see that there are a lot of Gen AI and AI trends which are maturing. Like for example, deep learning has been matured, and we see a lot of use cases implementing deep learning and helping the business to improve the efficiency and improve their some of the processing. At the same time, Gen AI has been transforming the business for the last 2 years. The new trends like agentic AI, multimodal AI, these are again trying to transform the business. Now, what we are looking at is using these technologies to increase the automation, increase the efficiency, and also in the at the end of it reduce the cost. And in, for example, in cases like customer service, we're also looking at completely transforming the customer service engagements. Look at automating the complete manual flows and scale the customer service team 24 by 7 without any additional cost. So basically, new ways of doing the same thing, and these tools also giving us a lot of innovations to explore, right? So basically what we're trying to look at is that we have a data platform and we have these trends. Now the primary question is that why every enterprise is not able to adopt these tools faster with the same speed these tools are coming up, right? Now that's a very critical question, and as a data architects and data professionals, our job is to see how we can make these enterprises or the companies ready for embracing this particular technology. Let's look at What are the ways we can do it? We can do it in two ways. One is make the platforms ready for AI, and second is make the people ready for AI. Let's look at when you say make the platform ready for AI, what it really means is that bring in the new capabilities, bringing the new tools that's required for the new trend that's emerging. For example, if you want to embrace, let's say, LLM or Gen AI, we need to have the unstructured data coming into our data platform. But so far, you can look back at the project that you're doing. I don't think a lot of projects process the unstructured data today. And for the LLMs to work, there's a new way of storing the data. So it's not about storing the data in database. It's about the new way of storing the database. How do you create embeddings and store the embeddings, and how do you retrieve them? So there's a new way of storing and storage and retrieval that's required. And at the same time, our traditional data platform, we are primarily focusing on the batch process. There are very few projects where we do the real-time processing, but a lot of Gen AI and AI use cases require the real-time processing. So again, your platform should be capable enough to handle the real-time processing data. And while we are working on all these AI, ML, and Gen AI, we need to have a ecosystem where you can build a model, train the model, and also deploy the model, and at the same time monitor the model. So basically, new set of tools, set of processes to manage the models, build the models, and monitor the models. Now, while we are doing all these things, if you are building a Gen AI platform, let's say independent of your existing data platform, that doesn't help. The reason is that we need to make sure that enterprise data is used by this data platform. Otherwise, again, Gen AI will be built in isolation. That will not add much value. And one important thing is the governance, right? Most of the project, maybe you can again look back at your projects. Governance is the last priority in most of the projects. But when it comes to the LLM, governance is the first priority. So you are looking at using the open source LLMs and sending the data outside your enterprises. You need to have a proper governance, security in place even before you think about using these tools. That's why governance becomes priority. Now, the last one, we've been talking about using the data available to the users, but historically we are looking at very few methods where we are business was using. For example, either they are using the visualization BI dashboards, or in some cases using the files directly, or maybe as a APIs. Now, with the Gen AI, what we are looking at is using this particular data in the form of applications, using this data in the form of chatbots, right? So basically, we have to make sure that data is available for developing these chatbots, and your platform should be ready to support that. Let's look at what a AI ready platform looks like. We have looked at the current data platform, and if you have to make the platform ready for AI, you'll have to start adding more components, more capabilities to the same platform. On the source side, you have complete new set of data sources like unstructured data, video, audio, images, and you need to have a process to kind of ingest the data. Then once you have the data, you have a complete new set of tools to chunk it and create an embedding and store in the database. Now the vector database could be any one of them, right? Any open source databases or maybe a commercial databases. So your platform should be ready to integrate with all of them. And when it comes to the AI machine learning, you have enterprise data, and if you have to use this particular data, we need to have a complete pipeline where you can build the data machine learning models, then deploy and then monitor. So complete set of tools to manage this has to be part of the data platform. And the very important is the unified layer. We are not looking at building this GenAI platform independent of our data platform. For example, if you're working on a modern data platform project, we are not looking at one more pipeline which is sitting in isolation and not talking to the data platform, right? We are looking at leveraging the data, enterprise data, and the new data that's coming from the new data sources to help business come up with the new products, right? New AI product, new AI apps, so that uh, business can actually leverage the value of this particular data. Now, let's look at some of the reference architectures that is available. And this is not a very I mean, common architecture for everyone. It's a use case specific. For example, in case of this architecture, sample architecture from GCP, this try to implement a RAG implementation as part of the as a separate pipeline. But if you look at the end-to-end pipeline, so you have a way to process the new data, and at the same time new tools to kind of store the data. And the very important thing is the new way how you access the particular data, right? You'll have a new generative AI application instead of dashboards and reports. Your platform should be ready to do that. And at the same time, this particular platform is not sitting in isolation. They're closely integrated with the existing data platform, let's say with a BigQuery and other tools. So basically, we are building a platform not in isolation, but with close integration with the existing data platform. Let's look at one more example from Azure, where this primarily focuses on AI. From an AI perspective, you have the end-to-end data pipeline, which not only processes the enterprise data, at the same time, it has the capability to train the model and deploy the model, and everything is integrated together. It's not done in isolation. Message is very clear. We'll have to build a platform, add a capabilities which are more integrated with the existing data platform. Let's look at reference architecture from Databricks. This is a one good example of how a tightly coupled platform can provide LLM capabilities. Here, LLM is capability is built on the top of Lakehouse. What it means is that it can easily access the enterprise data, and it has a better integration of tools, and you can train the LLM models and monitor the models. And at the same time, you're also using the data that's available in the data lake, right? And these architectures can vary from company to company and use case to use cases, right? But underlying principle is very simple. We'll have to look at what are the components or the capabilities that are required to build a data platform, and at the same time make sure that these platforms are not deployed in isolation and which has the right governance in place. With that, I want to shift focus quickly on let's say the AI ready team. While we talk about platforms, what are the capabilities are required for a platform, we also need to look at who can make this happen, right? I mean, what kind of team is required, what kind of skills are required for the team to build this one. So there are common trends based on multiple projects that you worked on and customer demands. We see that one is we need a new skills. We already looked at new capabilities that's required by the platform. Now these capabilities means new skills. Let's say if somebody is building a RAG model, we need to have people who understand a RAG model and how do you build that, how do you set up a RAG databases, and so on and so forth. And we also see a lot of overlapping skills since the Gen A and AI has been expanding last few years. We are not having too many people with those skills, right? What it means is that there is a lot of overlap of skills within the same role. Let's say somebody doing a data science, he's expected to do a little bit of data engineering work and ML ops work. Similarly, what we are looking at is specifically customer is looking at is a deep and wide skills. What it means is that they're looking at, let's say, a data engineer with a deep knowledge about data engineering skills, at the same time should be able to develop a models and maybe a deploy a model. So the data engineer or data scientist expanding his skill is very important. And with all this new tech stack and as well as the new platform, we also see a lot of new roles, very confusing kind of roles coming up. For example, full stack data engineer, RAG engineer, AI engineer, ML engineer. So there's so many roles in the market, and for us to make the people ready, and if you have to build these platforms, we had to kind of understand this particular skill landscape. Let's look at traditional data roles, right? We had data engineers who's primarily focused on building data pipelines and making sure the data is available to the consumer. And then we have data scientists who has been focusing on building a data science machine learning models and then making it ready for deployment. And then we have ML ops engineer whose primary job is to take the data science models or ML models and then deploy, monitor, and make sure that it is properly productionized. Now, the common trend that we are seeing is that with the speed at which these technologies are changing, we are looking at ML engineer as one of the role where it's a typical data engineer who has a strong data engineering skills, who understand a little bit of data science and who's ready to build a pipeline for a model deployment. So basically somebody who can do the end-to-end work, not only for the data pipeline, but at the same time work on the model pipeline also. So we need more skills, more people with this kind of skills. And with that, I want to conclude my presentation and by saying that AI and Gen AI are real and they are here to stay. They're not going anywhere. And when I look at AI ready data platform, it's all about building a new capabilities, adding new tools, and we looked at a very high level of what it means in terms of what are the capabilities are required. So if you're building a data platform and you're making it ready for AI, think of these capabilities and the tools that's required. Then if you want to make yourself and your team ready for AI, make sure that what are those new skills that's required to build a platform and make sure that everybody upskilled on that, and also look at widening your skills, not only just restricting to the core skills which is applicable today, right? With that, I'll keep the forum open for any questions.
Thank you very much, Manju, for interesting presentation. Yeah, we have multiple questions from our audience. Yeah, maybe the
Alexei?
first one. Not all problems can be solved with AI. How to understand that AI is really required and a good solution for the project?
Sorry, Alexei, I think I lost you for a minute. Can you repeat that?
Yeah. Uh, Not all problems can be solved with AI, and how to understand that AI is really required on the project and a proper solution.
Right. That's a very good question because the moment we have AI, I think we start using for every problem. AI is not a solution for every problem, right? I think end of day, what really matters is how do we solve the problem. There are a lot of problems you probably don't need a, let's say, agentic AI, right? You can do a simple Python code automation and you should be able to solve it properly. So it's all about looking at what are the end results expected rather than looking at the AI as a tool to solve every problem. It's one of the tools for the problem that you have on hand.
Mhm. And yeah, maybe you already covered, but yeah, we have a question. What new skills will data engineers need in the age of LLMs?
Right. Thanks for that because that's one important question, and the message that I wanted to give out is that um, data engineer, the primary skill of a data engineer is to build a data pipeline where you are focusing mostly on the programming. But in the new age, the customers are looking at not only just building the pipeline, but at the same time someone understand the basics of data science. If basics of data science and should be able to, let's say, take the data a machine learning model and deploy the model and productionize the model. So what it means is that you learn basics of data science, that's very important, and stay up to date with the recent trends. For example, there are so many new LLMs in market. If you are not using for improving your own productivity and customers' productivity, then I think we are not adding justice, right? So knowing, I mean, one is upskilling on the basics of data science, and at the same time being aware of the new trends and how we can use in your day-to-day life is very important.
Yeah, and probably the last question.
Mhm.
Uh, do you think that data platforms need additional security layer for LLM models?
Yes, that's a very good question. Right now, if you look at the existing data platforms, the security or the governance in place primarily assumes that the platform is used mostly by the enterprises, right? Enterprise users. But when we look at the LLMs, the kind of processing or the kind of issues we have, where we have to go to uh, the, let's say, the models outside the enterprises. What it means is that we have to make sure that the additional layer of a security or additional controls in place so that your data doesn't flow out of your enterprise. That's one. Probably that was not so important earlier, where your data platform is closed in nature. Now with the LLMs, the data will flow out of enterprise. So how can you control? How can you? What kind of security you will have in place to make sure that that is not done? So yes, may not be additional layer, but definitely additional security is required for the LLMs. That's my perspective.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you very much, Manju, yeah, for this presentation and answers. Yeah, and thank you very much, everybody, for joining our discussion today. In the description below, you will find the link to access the presentation file and recording, and also on this talk page, you can award Manju a badge and rate this talk if you like it or maybe if you don't like it. Be sure to subscribe to our channels for more content like this. And we hope to see you on our next session of the Winter Date Meetup. Yeah, thank you very much and goodbye.
Thanks everyone. Thank you everyone.